Welcome to Earful of Dirt, bringing you the latest Major League Rugby news, views, and abuse. Now here are your hosts, Aaron, Dan, and Victor.
And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Earful of Dirt. This is Victor speaking right now, and joining me, as always, we have Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, how are you, Victor?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Victor,
You don't look.
I'm
sorry.
You don't look anything like Aaron. Aaron usually does our intros. What happened?
No, not at all. Definitely not Aaron Castro. Well, guys, just to explain why you're hearing me talk and not Aaron, you probably heard what happened down in Atlanta, Georgia. A whole power outage that happened in the international airport, the world's busiest. Well, our dear Aaron was actually visiting Richmond, Virginia, and he was returning home to Arizona, Phoenix. Unfortunately, his plane couldn't make it to Atlanta because of the power outage, so he was stuck there. So what happened was that he had to go from Richmond to LaGuardia Airport in New York. I believe he said going to Detroit, and from Detroit to Phoenix. He just landed right now. So it's a crazy thing that the poor man had to go through. So unfortunately, he's not in today. We will mention him probably from time to time because it's most likely going to be on the comments on our live stream on YouTube. Obviously, if you're listening to this through the audio version, obviously there's something else. But for those of you that are watching this live, you get you'll get first steps. But yeah, that's the reasoning why he's not here. So going back to my rundown again, that was Daniel. Also, we got Curry. How you doing, Curry?
Oh, doing great tonight. Happy to be here, and happy to fill in for Aaron while he's out. I'm glad you're doing a great job, Victor. So keep it up.
Thank you. I'm trying to sort of break the monotony of our intros because Aaron is just straight to the point. See, I'm Hispanic. We had to jump a couple of things before we could get to the point. He's only half Hispanic, so it's a little different for him. And also, guys, joining us, we actually have a new member of the EOD crew. And I'm going to let him introduce himself. Go ahead, good sir.
Hey, guys, I'm Josh.
Plain and simple to the point. Get in, he's American. Plain and simple to the point. I like that. But you may not know him as Josh. You may know him by his Reddit username, which is
Crayola.
Or Kerfuel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's by the way, it's the word Crayola, but you change the A's to fours.
Yes. Which
it took me forever to find out. I mean, I know it was Crayola, but I didn't know it was supposed to be Crafor, Eol, like something like that. So that's why I let him do it himself, just in case. But yeah, guys, Josh is our newest member to the Earful of Dirt crew, and we're going to do a quick introduction to him. But before we go into that introduction, I just want to mention something real quick. By the way, we're filming this on December the 18th, which is on a Monday. As you know, we do our live streams on Mondays on YouTube. Now, the next 2 Mondays are going to be December 25th, which is Christmas, and December 31st. No,
January 1st.
No, January 1st. January 1st. I'm sorry, January 1st, which is going to be New Year's. See, I caught myself. That's why I had to stop there for a moment. So because of those two holidays, we're actually going to take a 2-week break. So we're going to actually be coming back on January the 8th. So this is going to be the last show of 2017, really. So next time you hear us, obviously, will be 2018. And, of course, hopefully we'll have Aaron back on board. I will mention that also at the end of the show as a reminder. But just to let you know right now, we're going to be off for 2 weeks. Okay, but before we continue talking about that, let's do a quick introduction to Josh. But let me pass that to Dan.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Introduction to Josh through me. So let me tell you all about Josh, not Josh. Josh is joining us now because we're actually in the process of really sort of putting together a website for early next year. We don't know exactly how advanced it'll be. Maybe it'll be the best damn thing you'll ever see. Maybe it'll be the biggest piece of garbage that all rest on Josh's shoulders. So if it's terrible, you know who to blame. But Josh is, Josh, you work a lot with the, I think, Mountain something West Wire.
Mountain West Wire.
Mountain West Wire, which is a college football and basketball and all that sort of stuff for basically Colorado-based college.
The Mountain West Conference.
Just the entire. Do you focus on the entire conference, or do you focus on a specific college?
I focus specifically in Colorado State.
Okay, so we got a Colorado State alum. No?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. See, good thing Josh is here. Otherwise, I'd be giving wrong information. So, Josh writes so far about football, so he's going to be talking about his Bulls ancestor in rugby. Good to have someone on the ground in Glendale. I think that you're actually the only person that's actually part of the crew that is within 100 miles of an actual MLR squad. So we're really happy to have you on. Amazing pictures. We'll see how that whole develops coming up early next year. So yeah, again, welcome from that. But we also have a couple bits of news coming up. MLR, the jerseys and some of their players in the new photo shoot they had recently. Seawolves had their combine on December 17th, which was actually yesterday, and filmed a couple videos from that. The SaberCats had another, I guess, scrimmage, but I know it was actually more of a full game against the Dallas Reds in a sort of preseason exhibition match, or a preseason exhibition match, because they have the real exhibitions coming up in a couple weeks. Glendale will have an exhibition match against Nola Gold, and the Capital Selects confirmed their squad against Nola Gold, and we have a couple of player signings as well. So going into the first part, as I mentioned, the MLR did tease their jerseys coming up. So they had actually about 7 players, one from each of the teams coming up. We had Paul Lasike from Utah Warriors, Osea Olunisau from Houston, Garrett Bender from the Seawolves, Peter Malcolm from Austin Elite, Sebastian Kalm of New Orleans Gold, Seth Halliman of Glendale Raptors, and as a bit more of some banter from this, Ryan Matias, who's wearing some San Diego Legion gear. So I guess we can kind of guess that he's the first official announcement for the San Diego Legion. I know a lot of people have been really dying to hear about a lot of news coming from San Diego, which hasn't come yet. So that's exciting that they posted that recently. All the players wore the jerseys with MLR actually, I think, on sleeve right here, but nothing about shorts or socks. Just all about the jerseys there. But what do you guys think about these jerseys? I like them, but do you like them? I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, just to start us off, guys, personally, of the 7, the only one that I do not like at all thus far is the Nola Gold one. I don't know. It's just something about it that is. I guess it's just the one color, the gold color, that I don't like. Mind you, it's not the same type of gold as the Australian national jersey, which is gold as well. But this one, I don't know, it looks kind of dull in comparison to the one in Australia. Looks a lot better, even though it's the same.
It looks kind of like orange-ish. Maybe it was just the filters from the but it kind of looked orangey. So it didn't really look gold for the most part.
Yeah, that could be it, because through those Snapchat pictures, I mean, it looked kind of bad. Yeah, I had to say personally. But yeah, that one, I don't know. The Legion one is so. Well, just to say that really, the ones that I like. Let's just talk about those. Raptors and Warriors, probably because those dark colors are colors I already like personally. But yeah, those two definitely. Austin Elite is actually not that bad, all things considered. But yeah, of the 7 place for me, definitely New Orleans.
Actually, I have to say with that, I really like the Glendale kit, mostly because I really hated their old kit.
Seriously,
the one that they played up until the spring. it had, I forget what it was, but like Comcast or some local cable channel just right on the
Ah,
front.
no, Xfinity.
Yeah, Xfinity, that's it. So they had just that right in the front, and then like I don't know, the colors and everything just didn't seem to. I just didn't like it very much. But these, I really like these. I love these. I'm really happy with these. I think they try to get a bit edgy with some of the uniforms just to try and make it more modern. No hoops, as far as I'm concerned. Some people may be a bit disappointed for more, some of that more classic look. But this is a new league. This is America. We do everything flashy, new, everything like that. What about you, Josh? What about you?
I was a fan when the Glendale jerseys first came out. I do really like their away one. They do have theirs on pre-order on the O'Brien Rugby Shop website. I really like the yellow, kind of popped for me. I will have to say my favorite is actually the Austin Elite jersey, just because I've never seen that combination of colors before, and it kind of works for me.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Austin as well, although I do like Seattle's real, sticking with the classic Seattle colors for the Seawolves up there. But yeah, Austin's are just really that kind of aqua thing with the orange and the black. I don't know. I think it's pretty nice, and it's going to be really flashy out there on the field. So I think that's going to be exciting as well to see him actually in action when that time comes. So
I like how all the uniforms or kits. I say uniforms a lot. All the kits are really diverse for the most part. They're not just the same template, but instead of being blue and red, it would be green and black. A lot of them have black in them, but they customize them how they did. They didn't just all follow a very basic template that would be extremely boring. They went out there and they did their own thing pretty much.
I will say, in defense of New Orleans, yeah, you can complain about them being pretty basic, boring, whatever. But I mean, they are the NOLA Gold. That is the team name, and it is, obviously very gold themed. So, you can kind of think about it that way. And once they get out there and have the sun shining on their backs, and maybe it'll be a little shimmery, a little gold-like. I don't know. Look like $1 million. Let's give them time.
You know what, Corey? You sold me. You sold me, Corey. You sold me on that. I had to say.
I didn't mind it too much. I just thought the color from the first photo, maybe it's just a like Snapchat, so it's just not the best color. It looked kind of orangey, but I'm completely fine with it being all gold. I mean, the All Blacks are the All Blacks because they wear all black.
NOLA all golds.
NOLA all golds.
I was expecting a bit more of a Saints gold than an orange gold.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting a bit more of that, and more like a Mardi Gras kind of theme. But I guess that's kind of played a lot in NOLA already.
Old NOLA jerseys.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have the crest too. The crest is very like, at least used to have more of that sort of festive kind of thing. But I don't know. I'll have to go down there for Mardi Gras one day. I guess there's rugby going at the same time and shuts everything down. But we'll have to plan a trip down there. But so I guess moving on from the kits, the Seawolves had their combine. They actually posted some videos. I had a chance to watch some of them. I think they only announced it a couple of weeks ago, but they were looked like there were around 30 or so people out there, and Seattle seems to actually be a pretty good spot for rugby. So do you guys watch some of the videos from that? I know there may have been some familiar faces.
I did, and I was trying to look for someone that I knew, and really the only people I knew were Tony Healy, because it's obviously his head coach.
Yeah.
Also, you had Waisale Seravi, the legendary Rugby Sevens Fijian international, who now is turned into a coach. I think he's a backs coach, I think. He was there helping, lending a hand really with the training sessions. And that was really it, really.
I'd be interested with what Wasile? Is that how you pronounce it?
Waisale.
Shalom, right? He's the one who's with the Seawolves, right? I know there's about 4 of them. And I get them all wrong.
Yeah, Shalom Sinula.
Yeah.
And his experience working with Atavis, I'm kind of curious to see what Atavis is going to be doing, because they are one of the few academies in the U.S. for rugby. You know, Tiger being one of the other ones, and Tiger got very involved with the Aviators. So I wonder what, you know, Atavis, how they're going to get involved with them over there.
Also, happy Hanukkah to everyone, by the way.
Just a little break right there, just to make sure. Happy Hanukkah. I think it's
While we're thinking about it.
yeah.
Well, I mean, Shalom. I mean, I was supposed to say happy Hanukkah to everyone.
It does make sense to people at home and to me.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but I was about to say happy Kwanzaa. Good thing I caught myself.
Well, you can have a happy Kwanzaa too. I mean, it doesn't have to do with Shalom.
Of course, but I mean, it's Shalom, and I was a happy Hanukkah. So I was out to
I think Kwanzaa doesn't start until later in the month, though, so we should be good.
That's right.
We won't be here, so
It starts after Christmas.
Yeah, I want to say like the 26th.
we won't be
on Boxing Day
in person, so we have to do it now. Happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas.
I do wonder how many Canadians showed up to that combine.
Oh yeah, going back to
that's a good point.
Well, I know they have a lot of connection, obviously, with Curry working and being in Vancouver, and his title being rugby development. I think he has a lot of say in the actual, picking of all the players, and because he works at an academy, and he works with like 3 or 4 high school age. Like I think he coaches about every single person who plays rugby in Vancouver. So I could definitely expect a lot of them to come down, especially because for the first year there is no team in Vancouver.
Yeah,
I'd say probably at least half of those guys must have been they're real serious into it, because that's also where the training area is for the Canadian national team. Yeah.
Any other comments before we continue? I take that as a no.
No.
Okay. So I'll take it. No, that's cool.
Moving on.
If anything, we'll cut a little bit of the silence on post, if anything, if that was too long. In any case, next on the list, everyone, Houston SaberCats, by the way, had I guess not really a scrimmage, I guess an unofficial game against the Dallas Reds, this past Saturday, which they won, by the way. So the Reds were the first ones to score. I unfortunately don't have names of who scored and who didn't, I'm sorry. But they were the first ones to score. But by halftime, score was 14-5, going the way of the SaberCats. And by the end of the game, it ended 21-5, obviously going to the SaberCats. So that's another win. So they're obviously this is also their closest match after the matches they had with the, I think, let me see, was the Blacks, Austin Blacks, and I think the Griffins, I want to say. Yeah, this was definitely their match. And obviously, this is preseason, and they finished 2017 undefeated. I don't think they're going to have any other games because of, again, the next 2 weeks of Christmas and New Year's.
They're lining up their break for us. It's very nice of them. Same break as us.
Tell me about it, right?
They're coming back on the 8th.
Of course. There we go. And the works. Exactly. Works great. Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. We had but again, ended in another win.
Yeah. Well, this
go ahead. Any comments?
This is the end of the preseason because they have their games coming up. First one is January 7th, I think. That's Sunday. And that's coming up against the Seattle Saracens. Not the Seawolves, but the Saracens, which will be many of the same players still playing Seawolves. So this is really it coming up. Like 2 weeks. That's our first taste of Major League Rugby. Hopefully it's televised. It will be in a real stadium, a minor league baseball park. So it's coming. It's almost here. Just a few more weeks, and then we can just get a little bit of a taste of what's coming up and what we can expect for, it's coming up for the first season. And it feels like forever because we've been talking about this for over a year now, I think. since they first announced it. And that's great on so many levels that we can have this much time leading up to it, being able to talk about it, gaining momentum and fans, people like us who decide to talk about it every week. We haven't had that before, so I don't know. Just me rambling about how awesome, how awesome that is.
By the way, we have talked about it in this podcast since August, so it hasn't been a year, at least not for the podcast.
Well, I was going to say, but it has been 18 weeks. So think about that one for a minute. It's been 18 weeks. This is episode 17. We took 1 week off for Thanksgiving.
That's a good point.
You did good math.
Yes. We've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah.
Good point.
Wow. So yeah.
Beautiful. So then continue on to the next point.
Sure. So the Raptors announced their home schedule for 2018. I mean, we already knew the games coming up because they were announced through MLR saying what their home matches were. But besides the games of the MLR season against Austin, San Diego, Houston, Seattle, there is also an exhibition match on March 10th against Nola Gold. I think I may have mentioned this before, but Nola Gold seems to be really proactive in playing other MLR squads. I think they have 2 games against the Austin Elite and then 1 against Houston. So far, they're basically playing 4 or 5 games against other teams in the competition, which they will be playing against. So that will give them a nice leg up. I think will be really helpful for them because they have that, they had that chance to play them when it didn't matter for the most part. So they can actually take that in and, kick their ass when the season comes around. Yeah.
And this is actually technically a home and away type of match because Nola Gold plays at Glendale at Nola Gold. So there you go. Not too shy when you think about it like that. Well, yeah, guys, that schedule is quite good actually. Playing the Gold first in Austin, San Diego, Houston, and then Seattle. So that's actually not bad of a home schedule. And obviously, every other team that you don't see there, it's obviously an away fixture like the one I mentioned against Nola Gold. Since the beginning, really, we have been mentioning that Glendale is rather one of the top teams in the competition. Again, even though they have 7 teams, definitely one that's pushing for it for the first title. Nola Gold, they have picked up quite a number of good players, but at least in my list, I don't see them winning year 1. I hope I'm wrong, because I know one of you guys will bring it to my attention later by July when the season is over. But so you guys say, remember, Victor, when you said on December 18, 2017, that you said Nola Gold is not going to win, and then it wins, and I know one of you guys are going to bring it up to my attention. I know, especially if Aaron is watching this, I know he will bring it up because he's that type of guy. But really, I don't think Nola Gold will win year 1. Okay, go right ahead. Take the word from me.
It's tough to say, really, because outside Glendale, which we know pretty well, I guess my second would be Houston because they put together a really solid squad. Nola's actually the club I'm putting as like the dark horse to win it. I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying that I guess more of the underdog I really see as winning it. But I mean, I really have no idea where any of these teams will land, especially San Diego, because we haven't seen their players yet. But like, I really don't know who's going to be the best. Glendale is the most. They've had the most time together. They've been playing for years. Pretty professional schedule for the most part, and they played in the Stampede last year. So a lot of them we've seen tape of. We know a lot of. I haven't seen like 90% of the league. Like I don't even know who some of these players are. I just have to go based off of what other people say about these players. As far as I'm concerned, there will be many players that will come out and end up just shocking all of us and taking the MVP. Sebastian Comm and Spike Davis both were MVP and top try scorer. And before that, unless you're really keyed in, I don't think anyone's really heard of them before that. So that's definitely going to happen with this. So I really can't put too much on here except for what other people seem to know. What about you, Josh? You might have some bias in this, but
Well, I think that's one of the reasons Glendale hasn't put much out there. I mean, we pretty much know what they have, and I think that's one of the reasons their schedule's so light.
Yeah.
They know what they have. They just released an interview with their head coach, Dave Williams, the other day. Said they were headed off to England to get some professional scouting or some teamwork in. So we'll see what happens.
get some English
Also,
play.
yeah. Also, remember hearing them. They're looking at maybe a couple more signings. So we'll see what comes out of that.
Yeah, I think Glendale, we pretty much know who's actually going to be playing for the most part. I think it's just basically the Merlin squad that played against the Arrows. I think it's pretty much just going to be them.
Mm-hmm.
But, you never know. They can pull some people out from somewhere.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you, Corey?
Yeah, Corey, you're silent. You're sitting there. What are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm working on script stuff and trying to help out our friends over in San Diego by prepping some the San Diego Legion flair for the Reddit page. So I was doing side work while you guys were talking, but I was paying attention about whatever it was you're talking about, really, and I agree completely.
Oh, wow. Very, very great.
That works. That works for me. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Corey. Go back. Head back to your work. No worries. Well,
Thanks,
guys, moving on.
Wake me up if anything important happens.
It will do, bro. Will do. Okay, guys, moving on because, by the way, everyone really liked last week's episode when we just hitting point after point, and we finished like in an hour. So we're going to keep that ball rolling. So
wait, hold up a second. Sorry, I got to jump in on that. Do we know that people like that? I mean, have we done any? Is this a scientific research?
I think what Victor may be referring to the listeners, but I think really it's referring to everyone who is sitting here on the podcast actually talking. I think we're the everyone who really liked it. That it didn't last like an hour and a half, and we could, especially us on the East Coast, go to bed at a reasonable hour.
No, but at least the people that talk to me about it say, "Hey, dude, I really like the fact that the show was only an hour and not an hour and a half like you guys usually do." So this is from the listeners that have talked to me personally about it.
All right, thanks everyone for joining. The show is now concluded. Goodbye.
And good luck.
And different. So moving to the next one. Okay, moving on to the next point, as I said. Capital Rugby Union, Selects specifically, have announced their squad against, again, NOLA goals, as we've talked about it quite a couple of times on the show already. So the Selects, like I said, have their players for their fixture against NOLA on January the 20th. The team includes many players from the Mid-Atlantic region, with a lot of representation coming from, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 teams specifically, which are Rocky Gorge, which has 5 players, Norfolk, which has 3, Baltimore, Chesapeake, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, that's 3, and Pittsburgh, that has 3. Now, other teams include Beltway Elite, which has 3 players, Nova, which has 2 players, that's North Virginia, by the way, James River only has 1, PAC Exiles, that has 1, and the Washington Irish, that also has 1. So that's 9 teams represented in this one team. By the way, Capital Rugby Selects won their first match against the USA Panthers, which I believe was 51-22, and also won a game against the Stars Rugby, which is the Stars Academy, which I believe is also located on the East Coast. Now, most of you might be familiar with Rocky Gorge because that is where Mr. Benjamin or Benjamin Sima plays, a little gentleman who plays fly half and occasional fullback for the U.S. Eagles from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Also one of my favorite players, not only because he's Hispanic, obviously, and also because I have a picture of him and I spoke Spanish, but also because I think he's a really good player. So I'm not being biased. I'm not being biased, guys.
Because he's from South America. Don't lie.
No, I'm definitely not biased. I'm from the Caribbean, bro. I don't care about that. Caribbean and South America are really far away, so I'm not biased. Definitely not.
Close enough.
Definitely. Close enough, definitely. But yeah. So I thought it was going to be in this team, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But in any case, Rocky Gorge is actually, I think it's the best team in their competition.
Yeah. Josh,
go ahead. Guys,
more about that area.
Rocky Gorge has run roughshod the past couple of years. They've been undefeated the past couple of years. Just missed out on the championships in the semis. They lost to Nyack 2 years ago, and then lost to Chicago last year.
Well, yeah, but they put together a pretty good program.
There we go.
Down there in Baltimore, home of the Wire. Good living. Well, I think this actually is kind of. I mean, Capital Selects always does this. They always try to put on this this sort of tour where they play some of the better teams, and they're lucky that there are actual, professional teams here coming up that they can play against. But it is kind of interesting that there was a Rugby Today interview with James Kennedy from Rugby Club New York, actually just a couple of days ago. And it was the first interview he did where he explicitly stated that he's ready to go 2019. He's been in Rugby Wrap-Up before, but didn't actually really announce it. But one little key point that was at the very end of the article was just that a couple of notes from the author that there were some other, rumblings of potential teams in the future in other areas along the East Coast, like Boston, Philadelphia, and then also DC. So I think that'd be real interesting to see a team get put together, and especially since they have at least an all-star team that's been meeting quite often, and especially now that the professional era is here. I think it'd be pretty cool to see what comes from that in the future. I think DC would be great. I love the city. It'd be a fun place to go, especially if they can somehow manage to get into that awesome stadium coming up for the DC United, I think. I mean, that's like 20,000 seats, but it's a pipe dream. We'll get there one day.
One day.
One day. Like Toyota Field or something like that, which would be great for some test matches too.
Or that new Austin place.
Oh yeah, the big stadium. It's
yeah.
Really big stadium. That'd be great for to go to MLR final or something like that. Just rent it out and get as many people as possible down there. That'd really be one hell of a go.
One more thing on the selects. I'm looking at the Houston schedule. They got them coming up in February.
Yeah, they're playing Houston too. So I think it's only NOLA and Houston, if I'm not mistaken. But that's still a pretty tough matchup. It's not like it's only them, but that's probably the best they've really played against in years, which is just great for them, great for rugby in the U.S., potential professional players in the future, but also potential Eagles, and we have one that plays in the area too. So that's really just awesome there.
And by the way, speaking of NOLA Gold, I believe Matt Houston, that's when NOLA Gold has played a couple of times with the Capital Rugby Selects, so I'm sure he knows quite a number of the players on that team.
Oh, sure. He played from Richmond. Is that where he's from?
No, he played for Charlotte.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he played in that whole area up there. Yes, I'm sure he's pretty familiar with
because he played. Exactly, because he played for the USA South Panthers and the Capital Rugby Select, so he played for both teams.
Yeah, awesome. So, one other thing too, kind of talking about NOLA there. Aaron, our lovely host, who's not here tonight, bailed on us, but he actually had a pretty good interview with NOLA Gold and Canada hooker Eric Howard recently. So Eric's actually a pretty cool guy. Talking a lot about his experience as a multi-sport athlete, playing at the University of Ontario, playing for the Ontario Blues, the Arrows, which are coming up, as well as the national side with obviously some great banner about Ray Barkwell and really how he ended up with NOLA Gold. So I think this is one of our first interviews we've actually had with one of the players. He's a real young up-and-coming player too from Canada, so playing for the wrong team, but at least he's playing or an MLR side, so that's good for us. Also, clearly a huge hockey fan coming from the area, so they spent a couple minutes basically saying how, hockey is the sport that just everyone wants to go to up there. So we kind of knew that, but like, that's really the football basically of Canada. But I think it is interesting. I think we've mentioned before that hockey players would make a pretty cool crossover athlete, just in terms of the style of the game and the physicality. So it's great to hear from him. Did any of you all get a chance to listen to our friend from the north and our friend from the south? Too?
I did, and it was a really insightful interview. And yes, like just like you mentioned, Daniel, hockey players definitely make. Oh, ice hockey players specifically make for really good rugby
Roller
players. As yeah, I mean, as you probably remember, as Mr. Mark Bullock mentioned in the previous lineouts interview with Aaron. So I definitely agree with that. But by the way, on the topic of football, as you know, this Canadian football already. So yeah, you're mentioning like hockey is like the football of Canada, although they already have football. But I know it's not as big as
it's like
hockey.
It's like the football is in like the kids. He was even saying in the interview how like every single kid they pick out like that player they want to be, or it's like the baseball too. I think Aaron said his player when he was a kid, he was always like pretend to be Mike Piazza, which is great because Mike Piazza is one of the best humans to ever grace this earth. So it's basically that sport up there that everyone looks up to. One day it'll be rugby. One day. Yeah.
And
welcome back.
I love what Mac, dude. Speaking of Mac Piazza, I definitely love his run with the New York Mets. Man, those were some good. Those were some good days in the Mets when Mike Piazza was playing for the Mets. Definitely like
not
that.
so much now.
Yeah, of course.
A lot about.
Yeah, definitely not. We're not going to talk about the Mets. Definitely not. They sort of went downhill this past season, so we're not going to talk much about that. But anyways, going back to the interview. The interview was great. Had a lot of fun listening to Eric talking about his experiences with the Canadian team, also with his home club of the Brantford Harlequins, and the fact also that he played for the Ontario Blues and the Arrows. So once the Arrows enter MLR, probably give it 2 years, and I wouldn't be surprised if Eric goes back home, because he probably got tired of the Cajun lifestyle down in the Bayou. He says, "Nah, I just gotta go back home to my province," and goes back to Ontario. I wouldn't be surprised.
That was actually one of the things he talked about in the interview. It was like, I'm not just here for the 1 year and then heading back home. I want to enjoy. I want that new experience.
Yeah. No, he did years.
I was gonna say, I wonder how easy it is to find maple syrup in New Orleans.
Well, just get him some beignets.
I guess there is the French influence, so.
I was going to say that. I mean, living down in New Orleans is like living down in Montreal. I mean, the only thing is you don't have as much French.
Yeah. French. I thought it was a really great interview. I found him very entertaining, and it was just fun. It sounded like they were just, sometimes when you listen to an interview, you can kind of tell how well the interviewer and interviewee hit it off, and I felt like Eric and Aaron they were just two buddies sitting back chatting, and it was great. So I thought it was really good. I also got to give a shout out to Aaron. Boy, he did his research. He had his biography down pat. So if you want to know anything about Eric, his favorite color as a kid, or possibly, which superhero was his favorite character, just ask Aaron. He'll probably be able to tell you off the top of his head. So it was an excellent interview. And just a quick shout out for our shows. That's available both on YouTube. You can go to our channel and stream the video of it, or you can download it at any place you get your podcasts. And that's Line Out Episode 7 with Eric Howard. So go check that one out as well.
Is that easy? You can listen to it anywhere?
You can listen to it on iTunes, Google Play, on Stitcher, on what else we got?
Player FM.
Player FM. Yeah, SoundCloud. So, yeah, we try to make it easy on you, and it's free. It's free content, guys.
Free for you, cheap for them.
Yeah. Go get it.
Yeah, if you want. That's
need
right. If
those
you want to hear
downloads.
two hookers.
And subscribe,
That's
subscribe while you're at it. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Do
That's
it.
right.
Right here.
Yeah,
George,
We assume.
yeah, somewhere on the screen. Especially if you want to hear an interview between two hookers.
Yeah.
And not that type of hookers, of course.
But if that's what they
I mean,
want,
I just have to make-
I mean, that's fine, and that's their choice. We're not putting them down.
Of course. You know, we talk about guys that hook balls specifically, rugby
Yes.
balls specifically. Yeah. Okay,
Moving on,
Daniel.
I think moving on is the key phrase that we like to use once things get a bit south. But anyway, so we have a couple player signings coming up. So the Seawolves actually brought in 2 players this week. They're not done with signings. I know it is the Christmas season. A lot of getting a bit quiet around this time now. But Dion Crowder, coming from the Seattle Saracens. So he's a local guy, actually originally from Chicago Heights, Illinois. He was a high school wrestler, as we mentioned before, with those crossover athletes, though I guess in many cases in America, they're all crossover athletes because they didn't play rugby when they're young. Later transitioned to rugby during his 3rd year at Purdue. But then after graduating, he moved to Seattle to attend the Adams Academy and then later joined the Seattle Saracens. 2017, he also played for both the Washington Athletic Club at the Club Sevens Nationals and the Vidi Barbarians at Rugby Town Sevens. I think those are the Fijian players, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Yeah.
Obviously,
That's
you got the connection from Wasale up there. So his age is 24. He's 5'9". He's 190 pounds, and looking forward to him coming on. The second one is actually a loosehead prop, Louis Henson from Western Washington University. So he is a local boy coming from Auburn, Washington. He began playing American football at high school, but then switched to rugby in 2010 and started playing with the Rainier Highlanders. Henson's father was actually a player with the Chuckanut Bay RFC and a graduate of Western Washington University. I have to say I love that name, Chuckanut Bay RFC. So then he actually became a prop following up in his father's footsteps there. So from 2013 to 17, he served as the WWU Vikings captain. Helped the team reach national championship in 4 occasions, and most recently he played for the Henley Hawks, competing at the 4th level of English Rugby Union. So this is another young guy. He's 24 years old, 6'2", and 245 pounds. So this is really great. 2 young guys coming on board. As far as I'm concerned, they're both 100% American blood and potentially Eagles for the future too. So that's all we got from the Seawolves, but I know the folks over in Utah had some good signings too.
Yeah, Utah got 2 signings as well. First up was lock flanker and Jackson Kaka, coming from BYU.
Is it Kaka? Kaka. Kaka?
Yeah.
Victor's
Let's say Kaka, just for the heck of it. Let's say Kaka.
Go ahead.
point to that real quick. I just want to make sure.
He's the Hamilton Waikato, New Zealand native. Didn't start playing rugby until he came to BYU. Originally came to BYU for football. Lived in Hawaii. His first season with the Cougars was a flanker. He became an All-American and made it to the select squads for the 2017 America's Pacific Challenge. And he's also been a contributor for the Rugby Utah Selects 7's national championship win at the Club Sevens Nationals, becoming back-to-back champions. He's another young guy, 25. He's 6'4" and 240 pounds. Utah also added a winger in Joshua Whippy. He's also from BYU and the United Rugby Club. He's from Suva Central Division, Fiji, and he moved to New Zealand during his teen years, where he played basketball and rugby. During college, he moved to Utah and started playing for the United Rugby Club, helping them win a national championship against Highland. He then played for BYU and played in several national championships before, and then he earned a call-up to the Collegiate All-American squad. And after the season, he earned a call up to the USA Select Squad in the America's Pacific Challenge, and then accompanied them on the Eagles senior squad this past European tour. He's a little bit older. He's 27. He's 6'2" and 220 pounds.
I think that's pretty interesting. That I actually never even knew that Jackson Kaká came over here to play American football, and he never played rugby growing up, even though he's from, quite possibly the freaking capital of rugby in the entire world.
Yeah. Seriously.
So yeah, this
that's
sport
really fun.
thing. Let me try it.
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting story because that reminds me, and I don't know if you guys remember, there was this one guy that was in the Eagles team a couple of years ago that came from Australia, and he came to play in Colorado State, I believe, Josh, as a basketball player. He ended up playing for the national rugby team, and he never played rugby in neither league nor union down in Australia. And you may remember him as Hayden Smith. Not sure if you remember that. Hayden Smith. He played locked.
The name sounds familiar.
Former New York Jets.
Yeah, he played. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Former New York Jets player. Also play American football. But he came to the States on a basketball scholarship from Australia. And he ended up playing rugby for the national team of the United States. And now he's in England playing as he works as I think it's a consultant in an insurance company and plays rugby on his first time, but not as a professional. He used to play for Saracens, actually, for a couple of years alongside Titi Lamasitele and Chris Wiles.
Actually, what brought me supporter, because I heard that was the first time I ever heard the name Saracens when he came over to play for them.
That's so right. I had no idea what a Saracen was.
I'm just like in my mind, I'm imagining the conversation. Guy comes here from New Zealand, goes to school, and like, oh hey, you're from New Zealand. You must have played rugby. Have you heard about our rugby team? And it's like, no, I'm here to do basketball and some other stuff. I don't know, and then just suddenly somehow falls into it anyway.
American football. He wasn't here playing basketball. It was American football.
Football, sorry.
Living even more bizarre.
Yeah, American suffer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's funny.
I think the guys in the BYU rugby team must have been so happy to see. Oh, there's a Kiwi here. He's got to be playing rugby. No, sorry, man.
No, sorry, man. I came for American football. I came for your sport, for mine. That is hilarious. Well, guys, moving on with the other signings. So next up, again, Nola. Man, how many times have I mentioned Nola just in this one episode? Signed fly half / center, Mr. Taylor Howden. He's coming from Columbus Rugby Football Club and 1823 Rugby. Now, if the name sounds familiar, it's because you have heard him before in the 2016 pro rugby season. He was playing for the Ohio Aviators. Now, at first, I thought Taylor was some guy probably from the East Coast, but he's actually from Auckland, New Zealand. I was actually not aware he was a New Zealander. And he moved to the States in his teams. And he actually played both codes of rugby, both rugby union and rugby league, so 15s and 13s. And when he was playing league, he was playing for the Chicago Stockyarders that play in the lower division rugby league. They don't play in USA Rugby League because that's also the East Coast. That's like another league entirely. But in any case, he got capped by the USA, I guess the USA Tomahawks at the time. I don't think they were called the Hawks yet, because it changed the name of our National Rugby League team. And then in Union, he eventually ended up playing for the Ohio Aviators. As you know, the Aviators had a great run in pro rugby. Unfortunately, lost to the Denver Stampede at the final game, but in any case. Then after that, he ended up going to Columbus RFC, and he's been there ever since. And keep in mind, guys, this is another Ohio Aviator player going down to the Bayou. I guess recreating the fortress once more. So we got my Houston, we got now Taylor Howden, We have Sebastian Cohn. All we're missing is, again, Aaron Spike Davis. Where are you, Aaron? Please come back. If anyone listening to this knows Aaron Davis, please send this to him because I really want to see that guy back. Please tell him to, if possible, go to Nola Gold. But in any case, Taylor is 28. He's 6 feet even, or 1.83 meters. I'm going to measure my meters here because if I wrote those down, I'm going to measure my meters. 220 pounds or 100 kilograms. Since I'm the only one here not born in the US, I'm going to use the metric system. And finally, guys, Dallas, as you remember, as we mentioned before, Dallas Reds were playing the Houston SaberCats. And in that match, the SaberCats brought out a player which we were not aware of, which is Connacht Rugby. I'm talking about Connacht from Ireland. Connacht Rugby and Ireland under 20s loose head prop, Mr. Jamie Dever. I believe his last name is pronounced. He is originally from Mayo, Connacht, Ireland. And he's a product, obviously, from the Connacht Academy, which is quite famous on the island. Also very famous for the fact that Connacht makes the kids, the other three provinces steal them, and Connacht takes forever to win the championship, which they did when AJ McKinty was playing, by the way. Just had to bring that up. So he was playing again in the academy during his teams, and he eventually later transitioned into the senior team. After that, he made the switch to Cambridge Rugby out of England. And this is obviously, now that the season is over, he has transferred now to the SaberCats. Apparently, this plan was going on already, but they brought him faster because one of the players got injured. I'm blanking on his name. But in any case, Jamie is 24 years old. He's 6 feet 2 inches, or 1.86 meters, and weighs 253 pounds, or 115 kilograms. Whatever that is in stone, I don't know. But he weighs quite a lot. So those are the for the week, guys. Those are 2, 4, 6 that we got for this week. Hopefully, we're going to get a couple of others for next week. Okay, guys, before moving on, we're now going to go to the views, news, and reviews portion. Take it away, Dan.
We got some views, news, and abuse. Not too much coming up this week, but actually just one little point I found out. I guess, honestly, we all found out. The Seattle Seawolves announced their season tickets at a price of $99. They announced it sometime last week. And one interesting fact that's actually really great to hear is that the team sold 700 season ticket packages. I believe it was within the first day of them being announced. This is not something that we made up. This is actually coming directly from, I believe his Reddit name is Auntie National. He does work for the Seawolves. I think he does some PR or marketing for them. And he actually posts a lot of information about them. So he said 700 sold. That was his number. But then you can actually go into the into their little, whatever it is to buy their tickets. And I did a little bit of math, and it looks like as of today, about 975 were sold. So it's pretty much 1,000 tickets sold so far in about a week. Obviously, that's going to taper off a bit. A lot of people may have just bought the tickets to, secure their seat, and then may not show up to the game. But 1,000 tickets in one week, just that's incredible. From there, I think you can fit 4,500 people at Starfire. A couple thousand more. Hopefully, those can really sell out in the next couple of months, and that'd be great. So just one little piece of noise coming out from Seattle. I think also actually today, Austin Elite Rugby also announced their tickets were for sale. So anyone in the Austin area wanted to go see a game, there you go. So, Victor, what about you?
Well, moving on from that, and by the way, really good news, obviously, on the product of the Seawolves, that are getting all this attention, which is always good. So moving to the other portion of the, again, of views, news, and reviews. Baylor College of Medicine has partnered with Houston SaberCats, so the physicians can handle all aspects of medical care for the team. So there are the official health providers for the SaberCats. Now, it's a great idea, obviously, for sports teams to have partnerships like this, which are beneficial to the students to gain experience on the field, and the teams obviously can get players from those institutions, as well as getting the healthcare. So again, it's really, really cool. So it's a win-win situation. Hopefully, we're gonna get other partnerships like this for the other teams. Any comments on that?
Well, it's definitely good to see some real trainers working for the team. I know a few teams don't have, just some guys that show up, and usually what happens with an actual club is you just pick one of the players who may be like an EMT or may happen to know something about science, like they were pre-med in college but dropped out from that. It's like, oh, this guy's the medical consultant for the team, and then that's it. So it's good to, I mean, everyone obviously has their own trainers, but it's good to see kind of them acknowledge an actual partnership of working with them, working as the trainers, working, you would hope, in pre and post game recovery to make sure that players don't get injured. Players don't just stop running and immediately go and grab a beer and just hang out. We want to make sure that this is a real professional setup and not just, some guys hanging out and having fun.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, Dan. It's just, once again, this is re-emphasizing the professionalism of this league. I mean, medical staff on hand is something that most colleges have on their sidelines during football and basketball games. Yet, it's rare in club sports, which is what rugby in the U.S. has been. So, I mean, for other major sports entities, this is a no-brainer. I mean, having these relationships and having medical staff on hand ready to go. But you're right, it's not something we've seen before. So from that perspective, it's perfectly expected and appropriate, and yet still somehow exciting to see. So I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody else, but yeah, that's how I feel about it anyway.
Makes plenty of sense. It's just good. I mean, sometimes it's just good news to see things that just should be. And
yeah.
I guess that's sort of an optimistic way of looking at it, but just anything that just makes you realize that this is not, some competition that's just thrown together in shambles and, put together basically like the Russian Olympics a couple of years ago, where some people had 2 dressers and some people had 5 closet hangers, but then no bed and like stuff like that. Like that's, it's not just kind of thrown together like that.
That actually brings me to Glendale. I watched their interview with Coach Williams, and he mentioned that their physio used to work at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
That's good to see.
So, we usually like to spend a little time on Twitter. And Dan, you tend to bring us some good stuff from there, don't you?
Not really, but this time. But here's a tweet that came from last week. It was a sneak peek at the team jerseys, as well as most likely one of the players as well. Obviously mentioned before, but the tweet is, any guesses where we are today? And it has the pondering emoji, the little guy going like this, followed by photos of the Sabercats, Legion, and Steve Wolves logos printed on the jerseys. So just any guesses where we are today? Pondering emoji and photos. A lot of people trying to guess where they were. Some people saying about 15 places, all from the same person. And MLR saying, no, close. Next one. I think they were in Glendale. I think that was confirmed. They're in Infinity Park.
Yeah.
Surprise. That's the answer. Sorry, spoilers. But it was sort of like a bit of a teaser to an announcement coming up. Hopefully we hear soon about the uniforms coming out, or the kits. I'm sorry. I'm hoping before Christmas it'll be a nice Christmas gift to us. Fingers crossed. We'll see what comes from there.
All right.
And it was okay. That was a good one. No, I was gonna say, guys, it was a cool surprise to have the photo shoot. Obviously, unveiling players with San Diego Legion, and obviously the jerseys. And like we said, definitely Ryan Matthias is going to be in the team. moving on.
Moving along. All right. So, in addition to the tweet of the week, we also like to do questions from Bob, and that becomes my domain. So, take it away, Corey. All right, Corey. Thanks, Corey.
Okay, that was random.
So, this week, Cool Alias would like to know, with the images of a player in a Legion jersey, speculation here to be Ryan Mattias, how far along are they, being, I'm assuming, the Legion, at this point? So that was question number one. There's actually three here from Cool Alias. So question number one, how far along is Legion in developing their team?
I don't really know, but I assume, according to what Matt Hawkins told the Strobro and Cardiff last week, apparently they're quite long. But that is yet to be seen.
No official announcement, so I think that's the important thing to note here. So we're still waiting on that stuff. He would also like to know, with the images of the jerseys now released, when can people purchase them? And do they aim to have a sponsor during the season? And I don't think we know the answer to either of those questions, but we can certainly speculate.
Yeah, I mean, we'd assume that they would. Hopefully they're here in time for Christmas so we can all have a nice Christmas gift to buy people. But I would assume, I mean, honestly, I'm just guessing as much as anyone else, but I would assume they'd be ready for release to be bought, a week or two. I mean, I think it'll happen before the end of the year. Not because of Christmas. It's not realistic to think that's like genuinely a huge hot topic Christmas item. It's not like the porgs from Star Wars. But it would still be nice to have them around this time. I think they'll try and squeeze them in before the end of the year. I do remember Rugger Rob on the Reddit page. There's actually the Houston SaberCats Reddit page because they have a couple of subscribers to that, but not too much action yet. And someone mentioned the merchandise to say, when should it be ready? And then Rob said, Rob being Rob, what's his last name? I'm sorry, he actually plays for the SaberCats.
Meeson.
Yeah, Robert Meeson. So he said should be end of December, but they were, because of the whole name change, they had to do some rebranding. So I'm sticking to that part at least. They'll be ready end of December.
Yeah. Well, and regarding the second half of that question, for sponsorships, we don't know how sponsorships are going to be handled in this league yet. Now, it's a pretty standard thing in rugby and sports in general to slap a name on those jerseys, and I don't see any reason why that model wouldn't continue here. I mean, we've got MLR's gotten. I mean, they're going to be on CBS Sportsnet, for goodness sake. So they're high end. They're not this ain't your daddy's rugby competition. So it would not surprise me at all. But as of now, I don't think we've heard anything about team sponsorships and how that's going to look, how that's going to work.
Or if it's able to be in year one.
Yeah.
Or even if the clubs themselves will have their own independent sponsors, or if it'll just be the league-wide, right in the jersey saying, John Smith Oil Company. I don't know, something like that.
Well, and it could also, like Victor said, year one, it may not be emphasis at this time, but then year two, especially as the teams start asserting more local control, that may become an option. Buy-in from their communities, buy-in from their regions, stuff like that, or buy-in from even national sponsors. So, it's like anything else. It's I think you could argue that season one is going to be a proof of concept season. They're going to prove that they can manage it well and get it launched. And I don't know if there's going to be a lot of money up for grabs sponsorship-wise right away. So we'll see how that shakes out.
It could be good to wait rather than start up with the sponsor, and then after first year, if it's an amazing year, you don't want to, basically sell yourself short or undersell yourself because you go, oh wow, that's actually a lot more for the next year, and maybe difficult to go back to the same people and say, okay, we're actually asking for twice as much. So maybe it could be a bit tougher.
Now, on the topic of sponsorship, guys, what I really do not want it to happen with MLR is that we go the way of the top 14 in France. Have you guys seen their jerseys? They are full, and I mean full of advertisement. Their shorts are full of advertisement. The last thing I remember was that I think it was Toulon. They had they had a sponsorship with, I think it's called Orangina, and since they couldn't get the logo on the shirts, they actually had to get it in the back of the jersey trunks. So if you're looking straight at the player's butt, you will see the Orangina logo. I really do not want it to happen like that with MLR. But I will tell you this though. Hopefully, if we get some money, I would really, really like to see the Earful of Dirt logo somewhere in a jersey or a shirt on one of the teams. I don't care who. I mean, since Dan and I are in New York, obviously, I would like to see it in RCNY. But in any, I don't care where. I really would like to see our logo in one of the jerseys.
It's just got to be on the neckline, like this tiny little thing.
Yeah, I don't care as long as it's there.
On a related topic, we also need a logo.
We already actually have a logo. That's what I was. The logo that we have is a picture of some guy who is playing rugby and is in the mud, even though we're Earful of Dirt.
Also, if anyone knows that guy, please let him know that we're using it with permission and everything, and not to sue us.
Also, dirt and mud are different forms of the same thing, Dan. So, hey, step off.
Yeah. But Victor, I do agree with you. I don't want to see like 500 sponsors on the kits. It looks gross. I used to hate that when I was younger, and I didn't really understand the idea of sponsorship in soccer. And also, they didn't have commercials every 5 seconds, so they couldn't. But I'd rather see, like, without getting too intrusive, like banner ads during or right after they score a try, or when they do penalty kicks or something like that. But I don't see the value for the sponsors either in just having 50 logos on here, because you're just going to get lost in the sea. I also don't want to see too many logos all over the entire stadium. A decent amount works, but after that, it's just saturation and hurts the fans' eyes. It hurts the sponsors' eyes because they don't get anything from it. So,
you just do what Super Rugby does and have a logo on on each 22.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Too.
That's not a bad idea. But you guys imagine it comes to the point, like, for example, NCAA basketball, when they said, if I think it's like, this halftime show is brought to you by Pepsi. You mind, for example, it goes, this upcoming conversion is brought to you by Coca-Cola. or something like that. Or this try. something stupid like that. It would be hilarious, though.
Yeah, they actually do that, I think. I forget where, but they've done that with, like, this is like the Guinness try or something, or Guinness sponsored try, when it comes up, and then maybe they say like the player's name or something like that, which actually I have to say, a lot of rugby I've seen internationally doesn't, not even the whole sponsorship side, but like in like the NFL, if someone scores, you see exactly who the player is, you see like their full stats for the day, you see everything you need to see. A lot of times with like rugby, it's very just understated. He scores, that's it, move on, let's go. And it's kind of it's a whole cool.
I also don't want to see. I forget what I was watching, but they're like, each 10 minutes was sponsored by somebody else.
Yeah, that's a bit too much. Let's get it all sponsored by CBS Sports. Then that's fine with me.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
All right, and Aaron has checked in on the comments. Hey, Aaron, welcome home, my friend. And he's telling us to shut up about sponsorship. So yeah,
let's go to the next point.
Right, he's not actually saying that. He's saying all the logos must be complementary to the shirt, which is, it doesn't clash with it and just look like cartoonish. And then I don't know what he's referencing, but he says that's how ads used to be done with baseball. But baseball also is a hell of a lot slower and nothing happens, so that's perfectly fine during baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But this is rugby, stuff. I don't want ads just fly across the screen as I'm like trying to see what's going on, So yeah, a journey.
So, but moving on from sponsorships, Cool Alias does have one more question. He would like to know, does the announcement of RCNY indicate a conference system as a long-term goal, potentially 2 or even 4 conferences?
Yeah, I mean, I believe the end goal would have conferences of some sort. The schedule will definitely expand past just 3 months, so there will be more games available. I think in the future it may try to mimic, like the NFL has about 20 weeks, including the playoffs, so about 16 games. I mean, if we can get to the point with even 16 teams, you can have some sort of setup where I actually wrote this down so I don't mess this up and sound like an idiot, even more than I usually do. You can play the conference opponents more than once. So maybe in a case where it's like Houston, Austin, Glendale, and New Orleans are all part of their same conference, they'll all play each other home and away. It does help a bit with travel, so you don't have to go from from New Orleans to Seattle too often. They can play each other home and away, and then also play against 8 other clubs as well. Sort of like what NFL does, where you play your division twice, and then you play a certain other group every single year just for continuity.
Yeah.
Well, moving from that, since USA is so big, a conference system is obviously it's a must really to cut travel time between teams. But of course, for the first year, it's okay because as the league grows, they will depend on it more for season 2 and the like. But I mean, for season 1, it's okay. Really.
Well, and I think that makes sense. We've talked a lot about the idea of an East-West divide, and I think especially right off the bat, potentially even season 2, that could work really well, given just the structure of where the teams are located. So we'll just see what they come up with and kind of see how that develops over time. So the last question of the night is from Downakeen, and out of context, I mean, I understand what he's asking, but maybe I'm not sure if there was something else related to this, guys. He wants to know, is there going to be an MLR league rule forcing players to pull up their socks? So apparently slouching socks is not appealing to Downakeen. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I never even thought of it. I guess it's a trend that's happening. I mean, I remember like as a kid playing baseball, and the trend back then was everyone pulled up the pants so you could see like the long socks and everything like that. They specifically showed it off. But now I'm watching baseball. I'm like, oh, no one's really doing that anymore. Maybe it's something like that. I've never really paid attention to it, but yes, I think it's kind of tongue-in-cheek comment. So I'm going to assume it's whatever.
I think I read it as sarcasm, but I mean, I think it's a personal preference. So I don't think you can force that on anybody.
One up, one down. I think that's going to be the league mandate. The league was trying to get. I think it actually reversed this, but for a while it banned players writing things like here. So there are a lot of players who go up like this, and they'd be like writing on their wristbands or something like that, or whatever tape they put on their arms. I think the Eagles actually did that for Zach Test when he got injured. I think they just said like Zach Test. I don't know I don't actually know what they said, but it has something to do with him, like Test Strong or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, there should be a rule, but I doubt it will come to be. That is the last thing on their minds. But yeah, I'm sure he said that in jest.
All right. Well, guys, I think that does it for questions. Do you guys have any final thoughts tonight?
Yeah, guys, real quick, shout outs to Matt or MTTHRDY on Reddit. I assume his right name was supposed to be Matt Hardy, but he just took the A's. And
It looks like Victor's must be having some technical issues. So just following on from what he was saying, Matt was good enough to reach out to us on Twitter, and he has started a UK-based MLR fan page on Twitter. So look him up on UK MLR fans. That's Twitter at UK MLR fans. And he's really mobilizing some good comments and good excitement there across the pond. And these are folks that know a thing or two about rugby already, and I think they can bring a lot of energy and interest to the game, and that maybe we're lacking here. So teach us what it is to be good European-style rugby fans.
Yeah, they already got 9 million followers. So they're coming along pretty well. Matt's super excited about this league coming up, as you can see from some of his tweets, and he's a good guy. So we're really happy to have him supporting us from across the pond. The UK fan base, or at least overseas, was pretty good for pro. I'd really like to see a kickoff, because every time we go on to the actual rugby union Reddit page, every time something breaks, like the CBS sports deal or the schedule or something like that, people start posting it. And at first it started out like, oh, what is this? This is, oh, good luck, whatever, it's USA. But there's a lot of people who are commenting on there just saying like, yeah, this actually seems pretty cool. I really want to see the USA kick off and, I guess, awake the sleeping giant. A lot of them, not just sort of saying, screw the US, we want to be better, which I'm happy to see too, obviously, because we're Americans. But they're saying like, if the US gets into rugby and really, Canada and US, I'm sorry, both really kick it off, because we have a lot of people living here. Just numbers alone, we can really help out a lot with, rugby across the entire world. I mean, that's coming from me as a USA rugby fan, so I am obviously biased, but there's about 400 something million people in this area, and that's just bringing rugby to a whole new world for these guys. So it's really good for the sport.
Absolutely.
Well, he said,
welcome back,
Victor.
Thank you. I don't know what happened. I just died and I came back again. I was like a zombie. So again, shout outs to Matt.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess that just about cuts it through for our podcast. Thanks, Josh, for joining for the first time. You'll be hearing a lot from Josh, hopefully coming up next year. Hopefully he doesn't screw everything up and do a terrible job. But from here, subscribe to our channel on YouTube called Earful of Dirt Fancast. Like us on Facebook, Earful of Dirt. Same on Twitter and Instagram, Earful of Dirt. Add our podcast, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Player FM. Leave us a review. We also got a phone number if you do want to have your voice be heard by your favorite host in the world. Our phone number is 1-720-600-2679. So it's all on our page. You'll find it wherever you go. Leave a voicemail or join our live broadcast, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. We are taking that 2-week break. I may actually be gone the week after. I'll be coming back from traveling. But we will have a lot to talk about, hopefully, with these uniforms coming out, as well as the start of the Houston preseason coming up. So Monday, January 8th, 2018, we'll be back Monday night. With that, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, Feliz Navidad, and most of all, a great Festivus for the rest of us.
Prospero año y felicidad. Come on, let's not forget that part of the Feliz Navidad song.
Yes.
Connect with Earful of Dirt anytime. We're on Facebook and Twitter as Earful of Dirt. You can email us at earfulofdirt@gmail.com or call and leave us a voicemail at 720-600-2679. Until next time, for Aaron, Dan, and Victor, I'm Corey. Thanks for joining us.